Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Corrective Measures. Today we are going to be speaking about mental health. This is a conversation that holds very dear into my heart after losing my cousin when I was just around 13 or 14 years old. Not only this, I've also been struggling my own battles for around similar periods. So I've also been struggling my own personal mental health for around 10 years now. Some of the conversations that we do have today are going to be distressing, so please don't feel like you have to continue listening to this podcast. Before we go any further, I just want to say if you ever do need to reach out to any of our boys at Corrective Measures, we are definitely here to support you. And we'll also add all the links in the description in regards to charities and support that can help you with your own personal mental health. Before we get into it, I just want to say a massive thank you to Hadden for joining us today. And without further ado, here's episode 3. Anyway, we are joined by the one and only Prezi. How are you today, Prezi, mate?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Good. And we're also here with the one and only Glaswegian, the sexiest Scottish man alive, Mr. Kai Had _. How are you today, Kai, mate? You good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad, to be perfectly honest with you.
Love that.
Obviously, today, boys, we're going to be talking about the stuff that doesn't normally get spoken about, which is kind of why we're all here to have these conversations as such. This is going to be a little bit less structured than it normally is. So I think first of all, we need to have a chat of why is Kai joining us on the hot seat today. And I don't know if you want to tell us a bit about your stream that you've got coming up. Is it on Friday, I believe?
Yeah, so Friday 28th, it's 11 o'clock till 11 o'clock. So it's a 12-hour charity stream raising money for Brothers in Arms. Now, they're a Scottish charity dedicated to raising money, dedicated to preventing, male suicide. Now, pretty big topic, obviously, as you can imagine. It's huge in Scotland and I imagine over the UK as well.
Yeah, so obviously we want to talk about mental health today as a whole. And we kind of wanted to get you on because it kind of fell hand in hand. Obviously, it is Mental Health Awareness Month being May. I think Mental Health Awareness Week is last week itself. You're obviously now doing this tournament. Does mental health kind of have a place in your heart that it's kind of... I'm trying to get into the conversation here. Do you know what I mean? Without is there any reason why you're specifically doing this? Is there any reason why you want to be raising money towards that charity?
Yep, so it's quite a big thing to me, to be fair. Only a couple of years ago, I think that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, one of our close friends from where I'm from took his own life. Now, on the surface, you wouldn't ever have thought he's the type of guy that would have done it.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy, always up for a laugh, always laughing, always joking. So it just goes to show, I think that really hit home when it was him, that it's not particularly people, you don't see it, it just happens. And I think that's why awareness needs to get shown and why we need to talk about it openly more, especially as guys. I think there's always a thing where you need to be the man, you need to
it's a bit of a taboo,
not show your feelings. Exactly. And I think that's what we need to kind of start getting away from. So obviously, with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, I thought, what a better time to do it kind of thing. It's been lockdown as well. I think I've been one of the lucky ones. It's not really affected my mental health in a particularly bad way, but I've seen firsthand on the effects it has had on my friends, certain members of my family and stuff. So it's definitely something that I wanted to do something for, and obviously being a streamer, I thought, what better to do than do a stream, raise money for it as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I think going to your first point, obviously you said about you lost your friend to suicide. I also lost my cousin when I was about 15. He also passed away due to suicide as well. So I think, and again, as you were saying, it is that kind of, he was the life, the soul of the party. He'd walk in and he'd be the person that would be like the happiest in the room kind of thing. Like, he was the life and soul of the party. So I think this is the thing when it comes to men. I think the issue is really that we don't talk about it, which is why that it's always the ones we don't expect, because those ones that are putting on those brave faces every day and kind of masking how they're truly feeling are probably the ones that are the least unhappy, which is quite sad to think that the ones that are overly happy. I don't know, and I know obviously you mentioned lockdown. Prezi, how have you found kind of lockdown on your mental health? Has it kind of, I know for myself, it's made me feel a bit of a shell. I used to be a very active person going out every day, and I know that there's been times in lockdown where I just don't want to get out of bed. I don't know if it's similar for yourself.
I mean, just before I sort of answer that question, just touching that point, I think one of the biggest things that we're aware of, but we don't really think about it too much, is the fact that when we talk about someone's mental health, it's almost impossible at times to tell when somebody isn't right, because it's an illness that you can't see. You know, if I turned up at your house and I had a broken leg, you'd be fussing all over me. Oh, take a seat. What can I get you? This, that, and the other, because it's visible. When it's mental and you can't see it, often we don't find out about these issues until it's too late, and that's the big issue that we face. You know, I know that Joey, you and I have both spoken openly about the struggles that we've had. And I can say from first-hand experience that talking about it genuinely does, and I promise anybody that's listening to this that can relate to what I'm saying, it genuinely does help. Going to your point on lockdown's changed my life, if I'm honest with you. It's completely changed who I am as a person. It's changed everything to do with my day-to-day life. And if I'd gone back 2 years, I was working 10, 11, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'd barely see the kids. My weekends were very precious. I'd spend my weekends busy with family. And then all of a sudden, I moved 300 miles up the country 4 days before the first lockdown. And everything that I'm used to stops immediately. You know, my work completely stops. I'm waking up all of a sudden. I don't need to check emails because I've not got emails coming in because all the clients I work with are closed. And for me, it was really difficult to get my head around that sudden change. But what made it a little bit easier for me was realizing that everybody was in the same boat for once, that everybody was sort of going through the same troubles and struggles through the lockdown. And I think especially the first lockdown, it was a lot easier because it was during the summer. We had the sun, we could go out, barbecues in the garden, this, that, and the other. The second lockdown was hard. You know, I mentally, I had a very tough Christmas through to sort of January, February, if I'm honest. And it's only been in the last couple of months that I've actually started to feel like I've been sort of getting back to where I was. So yeah, it's been tough. I mean, in answer to your question, the last 14, 15 months now since all of this has kicked off it's been hard. And a lot of that has been down to the lack of structure that you're used to, not being able to go to work, not being able to see your friends, not being able to go to the football.
I think
take for granted.
Yeah, I do think that is a big thing when it's come to lockdown. Don't get me wrong, we've all met, if anyone doesn't know, we've all met via the internet, which I'm very grateful for. Unfortunately, I hate to say it to them, these are decent lads. So I'll give them that one. But we have been lucky enough to meet via the internet. But as you were saying, for myself, it's the little things. I used to go to the football every Saturday, and that was almost like the one day of the week where you know you've got something to look forward to. It doesn't matter if you've had a hard day at work or a hard week at work or you got shit going on, because you knew on that Saturday you're going to be meeting your mates for a pint. And I think, I don't know about you, and I know you say that like speaking is a lot of it, but a lot of it is just that hope you're okay, mate, kind of thing. Like
it's will,
yeah, exactly. I think it is that kind of, as you're saying,
social interaction is a big part of it. And I knew that before lockdown, that social interaction was a big part of it, because a lot of my struggles that I had, and I've spoken openly about them before, came when I set up my own business. So I set up, it's something that I'd wanted to do for so long, and I always was incredibly excited to basically go it alone. And for a period in time that was supposed to be so exciting, and it was exciting for the first 3 months, but all of a sudden I didn't have colleagues, I didn't have people to
very isolated, aren't you?
Every single day I was stuck in my bedroom working on my laptop. I didn't leave the house, And it was the loneliness and the lack of social interaction that made me spiral out of control, really. So I think a lot of people would have been feeling that for the first time. A lot of people during the lockdowns, where they are used to going out, if you work in a shop or anything in retail, where even if it's customer facing, you just deal with another human being. Having that taken away from you is really big.
Yeah.
And that
Small
plays
things
a
as
big
well.
part in it. And that's why talking helps, because it's that interaction that you have with somebody else.
What was you then saying, Kai?
Yeah, I was just saying small things like, see, having a routine in the day. Like, I don't know about you guys, but the first lockdown, it was literally sleeping pattern was everywhere. I was up all night and then waking up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Every day was just bundling into one. And I think not having, as you said, looking forward to the football on the Saturday, or even going to see your mates at the pub, like just having that thing to look forward to, you're coming to the end of the working week, it's time to go out, enjoy yourself. Like, at that first lockdown, having the sun and that kind of stuff was better. But when it got into the second one, and you were waking up and it was dark and raining, you were going to bed and it was like pitch black at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like that
was
does play a
gross.
big part. It was horrible. Like, when your sleeping pattern's that bad, you were seeing like 2 hours of sunlight, like, and things like that do play a part, I think. And it's one of the big things that I think with the lockdowns went kind of unseen as well, as to how many people suffered through it.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you, and I think I'm one of the really weird ones when it comes to lockdown, because I've actually managed to sort my life out over lockdown, which sounds really stupid, but I had a lot of outside. I've spoken about mental health before, and I'm sure anyone that's seen any of my personal videos would have known that. But like, this has actually given me an opportunity to work towards things that I'd probably never had the opportunity to do. Things like gaming and like the podcast or vlogging or doing stuff online. I mean, I've learned so much about here, there, and everywhere. But I fully agree with you. The first lockdown, it almost felt like a relief. It was a bit of a holiday. Like, me and my missus, we would like, it's 12 o'clock and it's 25 degrees outside. We'll go sit in the garden and just drink beer all day. Do you know what I mean? And it felt easy. As soon as that second lockdown came, like November, December time, I remember I'd wake up at literally 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then be like, what the fuck? And then go to bed at like 7, because there was nothing for me to do. I wasn't working. It was dark outside. It was raining. It was cold. Do you know what? It just felt really fun. Like, even my missus would sit next to me all day long, but it still felt incredibly lonely, which is a really weird thing to say.
Yeah, that's exactly the case, though. The first lockdown for me was almost like an opportunity to actually recharge my batteries, because I've been so flat out with the business for the last 18 months that I was exhausted. I just moved house as well, so that was tiring and stressful enough as it was. So the first lockdown for me was actually it was quite a relief. Like you say, the weather was nice. We're out, we're chilling. I was thinking I could get used to this. This is actually quite nice. There's more to life than being flat out 12 hours a day at work. I built such a great relationship with my kids. So the first lockdown, I'd probably look back on it with fond memories. The second lockdown, less so. I went into a bad place sort of over the Christmas time, to the point where I was actually referred to like a mental health crisis team. And throughout that time, I think this was in February, actually. I had daily visits from a mental health team to check on my well-being and to sort of discuss how I was, and sort of putting in a plan of action. I saw a psychiatrist and all sorts. And I've been on medication for depression for over a year now. But that was a direct consequence of the second lockdown. That was the sense of getting back to normality, the novelty of it wearing off, getting back to normality, and then all of a sudden it being taken away from you.
Yeah.
But then also not being able to have the good stuff that you had from the first lockdown. So
the things that made it that little bit easier, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. So the second lockdown was incredibly tough for me. And I remember one of the ladies that came to see me one of the days, when I spoke to him about it, and I said, this is weird because the first lockdown is completely different to the second. And she said, you're not alone. You're not alone. The first lockdown for us, a mental health crisis team in the Gateshead area, was one of the quietest times she's ever experienced.
Yeah.
The second lockdown has been one of the busiest times that she has ever experienced. So we're not alone.
I don't. I don't. I'm not. I think the lockdown has just. I'm surprised I haven't seen, and this is going to sound really fucked up, and I hope it doesn't come across as fucked up, but I am surprised I haven't seen more people that have lost their lives over lockdown, like people that I know.
Yeah,
and I don't want to come across as in like that's really a really weird thing to say, but all I'm saying is I know I can speak for myself, and you're sitting here speaking about it now, and we're all speaking about it now, but like as in we've all felt the same, that it's actually nice. It's actually reasonably nice that we can sit here at the end of it and say, actually, we've got through it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think as well, in my perspective, where I'm from, I'm only 21, so I didn't look like it wasn't too long ago that I left school. Literally,
Yeah.
you're talking maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and people that I went to school with, like maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 people from my school have passed away due to like suicide. So it's not something that it's genuinely like every other couple of months here. It's not something that happens and it's a shock. It's more.
Yeah.
It seems to be happening more and more frequent here as well, where I'm from. So it is something that I think definitely is an issue and does need to get spoken about, even like we're doing just now. Do you know what I mean?
I think the thing is as well, I don't obviously know statistics from Scotland, but I remember seeing that in England, it's something like 1 in 4 people in England have a mental health issue, whether that's depression or anxiety or PTSD or the list goes on, bipolar, I think, but 1 in 4 is absolutely huge.
Yeah,
And I can sit here for myself and I can sit and say I've struggled with mental health since I was probably the age of 12, and that ranged from being depressed or having anxiety, and then they thought I was bipolar, and then it finally got found out that I had PTSD, and that's obviously been treated and stuff now. But I think it just goes to show that I've been living through this since the age of 13, which is like 12 years. I can honestly sit here and say that, yeah, I have bad, shitty days now, but holy fuck am I proud that I've got through 12 years, because no one should have to go through an illness for 12 years long. Like I don't know. I find it hard to talk about, obviously, because it makes me quite sad. But it's little things like, even if you get past, I think the issue is as well that you don't have enough follow-ups when it comes to mental health, and I think this is part of the issue, that when people have a down period, they start to feel better, but then it's quite easy you can get back into that down period, if that makes any sense. And I think that's what a lot of it is, that yeah, they get the help that they need, but then there's not the funding in place, there's not the support in place to keep that going, to have those support groups, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience that there is not anywhere near enough resource in place
How big the issue is
in this country to even
not even to scratch the surface.
10-15% of the overall issue.
It took me 5 years, bro.
Mate, we talk about obviously the pandemic that we've been living through, but there's a more serious pandemic going on, and that is suicide.
Yeah,
suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 45, but people don't talk about it. Yeah,
that's another reason why I thought, with the charity that I'm raising money for, it's because they are Scottish. They worked through it. They've got an app that you can go on, and obviously not many people know about it until I done the research and I found them. Like, I didn't know about them, so if I didn't, then how many other Scottish males who are suffering don't know? So it's definitely something that, by us raising awareness, other people raising awareness, it gets the word around, and something you may not have known yesterday could save your life if you know about it. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely it's something. It's a good thing that we're doing as well.
Just to put it into perspective, and I don't. You don't have to obviously answer this question, but I'll answer it anyway. But I just want to put it into perspective about how common this is. Have either of you ever thought about taking your own life? Because I have, and I've tried it, and I failed, and I found out that I was shit at that too. But have either of you ever thought about it or attempted it? Or, like, you don't have to obviously answer if you feel uncomfortable with it, but I just want to make, like, even 1 in 3 of us saying yes to that is still pretty shocking, isn't it?
me personally, I can say I am probably one of the lucky ones. It's never something that's crossed my mind, and
Yeah.
I could genuinely say I'm one of the lucky ones that I wouldn't say I've went through any of these type of illnesses. I don't have any of these type of illnesses, but I think that's the type of thing that even though I don't have it and I'm not, it's nothing that it's never like affected me personally. It's affected me, family, friends, that
course.
type of stuff. So that's the reason that I'm kind of so big on it and want to raise awareness. But me personally, I can't say that it's been something that I've thought about.
The fact that you've seen it firsthand, and like you just said before, 6 or 7 people that you went to school with, and that wasn't even that long ago,
Yeah,
have sadly passed away as a direct result of depression, some sort of mental health. That's enough to say, for anybody to say something's not
proves,
right,
isn't it?
something needs to change.
Yeah.
Something needs to change. And that is the simple fact of it. And answering your question, Joey, yeah, I've been in that situation. I was in that situation in 2019. I spoke about it on another podcast in March 2019. I had planned it. I'd written what I wanted to write to leave to family and friends, my 2 young daughters. It was the end of the road for me. There was no convincing me otherwise, and I was moments away from doing what I was going to do when I received a phone call completely out of the blue during a working day from my daughter, who had called on her mother's phone, and it was that phone call out of the blue that gave me a little bit of a reality check and thought, you know what?
There's more to it.
If she had called me half an hour later,
yeah,
she never would have spoken to me again, and that's not right. That's not right, and something needs to change. And luckily, I've never been back to that point, but that's not to say that I'm ever going to necessarily get better. And I think sometimes you don't always get better. I think that's
I think that is part of the thing. Is
the issue is that people. I think when people are suffering, they sometimes they can't come to terms. And I know I certainly couldn't come to terms with the fact that it's okay. It genuinely is okay not to be okay.
Yeah,
And
I
that is the
think
key thing here.
people set themselves an unrealistic goal of being this happy social. The thing, when people post on social media, oh my god, I'm so happy and I've got all this good shit that's going on. Like, it's unrealistic to be kind of living and working towards this goal, because even for your normal person that's not feeling down, and it's the same as kind of that toxic. Sorry, just going off the point quickly. It's the same as the toxic masculinity stuff, because it takes balls, I think, to sit and talk about anything as a male, let alone like the hard stuff. Like, if I've had a hard day, I won't tell my missus, which sounds really stupid, but like, I feel like, oh, I'm the man. I should be
I'm with you on that.
I should be the one taking that away from her. I should be the one asking how her day was, or I don't want to burden her with how I'm feeling, even if I'm not feeling down. It's just that maybe I'm in the wrong relationship, Holly. I'm really sorry, but like, maybe it is just that thing of, I think there is a huge toxic masculinity that if you ever say that you feel bad about something or something's not going right, people automatically jump up and go, oh well, you shouldn't be feeling like that, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Joey, you're not alone in that, and there is something wrong with that. But I think at the same time, there isn't something wrong with that. That's just the way that we typically deal with stuff. Chelsea, my partner, has been there and seen me in a very, very bad place. So she knows full well exactly what's going on now. And it took me 3 years to actually talk to her about it. But finally, when I had the courage to talk to her about it, now she knows that. And there'll be times even now that she'll say to me, "Are you all right?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah, but you're not.
And I'm not. And it's silly.
It's nuts to say, isn't it?
Mm.
I think that is a crazy thing, and I don't know what it's like in obviously Scotland. It's very hard for me to say what it is like up there, and same as like the north-south divide, because it is very different. We all have very different way of we've been brought up and stuff. Luckily, I've been brought up into a family that's quite open about things, and we all talk about each other. But I know that there's certain places in the UK where you can't show any weakness. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like if you're talking about certain things, it makes you look weak, doesn't it? Like, talking about how you're feeling makes you look weak.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. When you're a group of boys and you're out and you don't want to be the one, so if you show emotion, your boy mates will automatically slag you for it. Like, you get the the piss taken out of you basically. And obviously it's not, so it doesn't happen as much now, but it was that's how it was kind of thing. If you were the one, you ended up too drunk and you were crying on a night out, do you know what I mean? The boys would probably take the piss out of you in the group chat the
Yeah,
next day.
100%.
That's it. It's just how it works. But obviously, I think checking in with your mates as well. Just, I know we all took the piss, but how are you sure you're all right, kind of thing? Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's definitely something. What you see in social media definitely isn't how people feel in real life as well. You could sugarcoat it to the world on social media, like Instagram. You could be living the life. As soon
Yeah.
as you turn the phone off, then you're not in that mindset as well.
I agree with you when it comes to like showing emotion with your pals, because I even remember like being at school and like something would happen and you'd like open up to one of your mates or something, and then they'd like not use it against you, but they'd take the piss out of you. And
Like it was a joke.
yeah, like it's a joke, and you're sitting there thinking, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing this to me? But at the same time, you know, deep down, you're like, fucking hell, can you shut the fuck up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've been there. What you said about the nights out, I've been on nights out. I remember fucking being in tears one night over the most stupidest shit, but clearly I was upset. And I remember like the next day being absolutely ripped in the group chat for it. And this is like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, I think if you're in the wrong mental capacity, that's something that would really,
It could get to you. Like
It could.
It could make you feel worse. Yeah, 100%.
I'm not sitting here and saying don't take the piss out of your friends, because I've already laughed at Prezzy's
Right.
hairline today, and obviously Kai's from Scotland and shit, so I can't.
I wear a kilt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Kai wears a kilt, so I can't say too much about it. But I think it's just the whole thing that it is scary that the biggest killer in men is suicide. It's not cancer, it's not COVID, it's not kind of war, it's nothing like that. It is suicide, and I think especially for ourselves, we're in the Western world, we're in a first world country. That just really shouldn't be the case. It feels wrong to be saying that we don't have the resources in place to stop that from happening. I know you can't force someone to feel better, and people can only get better if they want to get better. There's no way that you can ever. I've been in that place where I was drinking, using drugs to make me feel better, and I didn't want to get better because I thought that I was right. I wasn't strong enough to get better. So I know what it's like, but it's crazy for me to say that we don't have enough resources to stop the biggest killer of men in the UK.
And it's mad to say that off the back of a global pandemic where, whether you think the response has been good or not, irrespective of your opinion on it, it's been quick in comparison to any response, if there has ever been a response, to growing numbers in suicide rates.
This is the weird thing about it, and I don't want to get into obviously the technicalities. I don't want to get too much into the technicalities of it, but what you say about COVID is true. You think I feel very sorry, and my heart goes out to anyone that has lost anyone to COVID. I lost a good friend of mine that I used to work with to COVID, and I can see how much it's affected people's lives. But compared to the level of deaths, does it really make sense to put, like, I know it's different, but why have we not had a similar, why has the government not done anything?
We've had billions of pounds going to test and trace, which doesn't work.
You think even if half the amount of money went into something like suicide, like the funding that they could get, even programs that they could get people on, what kind of difference would that make? And leading on to, you guys put on Twitter earlier on, it was over 500,000 die from suicide each year, which is, it equates to one a minute. Like that statistic alone shows, like, that's mind-blowing numbers, and I don't even think you would expect that's the amount that it happens to as well.
Yeah. I mean, I put it on Twitter earlier, and I posted it, and I actually, I know it sounds odd, but I actually looked at that statistic for quite a while, and I sat there trying to process how big that number actually is.
Yeah, that's
one a minute.
So at the moment, to put it in perspective, at the moment, I've just checked that on average, there is 19 deaths from suicides daily in the UK. And today's COVID figure was a grand total of 2, which is really sad. But it just means that 16 more people are going to die from suicide today than they are COVID. which is kind of nuts to think about. Obviously, COVID is a very serious issue and stuff, but I just feel there just needs to be more. And whether that's people talking on podcasts or whether that's just messaging your mates to say, and I think we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of being involved in our own bubbles. I'm very guilty of it, that sometimes I'm like, nah, I'll text him tomorrow. He's all right. Do you know what I mean?
You know what though, right, Joey? Us three here aren't going to change the world, right? We aren't going to change what's been done about it
No, of course.
overnight, right? But what we can change is one person's life. And if everybody has that same mentality, then slowly but surely we will get there, you know? And that's something that it's almost like a sort of a switch went off in my head. All of a sudden I was thinking, hang on, why am I keeping this to myself? Why am I embarrassed or ashamed to talk about the issues I've got? I wouldn't be embarrassed walking down the road with a broken leg. So why am I embarrassed that there's something wrong like elsewhere? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's so common that there shouldn't be an issue with it. So now my view on it is, if by me talking about it gives only one person the strength to talk about it, and that person gives someone else the strength to talk about it, slowly but surely the domino effect will pick up, and
it grows and grows.
Hopefully improvements will start to be made. You know, Kai's stream on Friday, right? 12-hour stream. I can't wait to see the numbers at the end of it, but I can guarantee you there'll be big numbers. And there'll be big numbers because people will want to tune in support, because they will know somebody that is struggling or have struggled themselves and will want to show their face to be a part of it.
Now, going on with the stream as well, that was when I posted it on Twitter. It's a really, really good reaction from everyone, and I think the fact that got such a good reaction, whether it be just a like, a comment, yeah, I'll be there, I'll make sure to pop in, that grows it out and that shows more people on Twitter or whatever it may be. So come the stream, people can tune in that have never ever seen my streams, never been in touch with me, and if that helps them in any way, gets them in contact with the people that they need to get help, then that's, even if it's one person, whether it's 1, 10 or 100, like, doing that for somebody and potentially saving their life is crazy, and you don't realise the effects it can have on people as well.
Yeah, and I think that is a thing. I think it is just making it's more relatable, isn't it? I think the thing what you're doing is, well, that actually when it comes to the streaming and stuff, some people might not talk about it. They might not know about the charity using. They might not want to talk about it, but they might have the chance to tune into your stream and hear about other people's stories, or tune your stream, donate a bit of money. Do you know what I mean? It's all about that awareness, and it's all about continuing to talk about it. I think if I can afterwards, Kai, we'll get the links to the charity and we'll put them all in the description and stuff. So we've got it there for anyone that does want to check it. And also, obviously, your stream that's coming up. What day is it again?
Friday 28th. Yeah, 11 to 11.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 days after this episode comes out.
Yeah. Do you reckon you're going to survive the full 12 hours though?
I was thinking that, right? Because the other day I streamed, I think it was 6 hours, and I came off and I thought, you know what, I could go to sleep. Like, I was knackered. So I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, finishing work, and then straight into that in the morning. So it'll be a long day, but I think the buzz around it and the fact it's creating excitement, like even just me organising the prizes for the giveaways, just getting like that buzz up about it, I think that'll keep me going anyway. It'll probably be the Saturday. I'll be knackered, but it'll be worth it. So, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's all for a good cause, isn't it? So.
Aye, exactly, definitely.
100%.
I mean, I think it's, when it comes to mental health, I could sit here and talk about it for absolutely hours. For someone that is living proof that you can get better, just slightly. I'm not too fucking crackers anymore. Bless my little heart. But I think it just goes to, sorry, what was you going to say?
So you're still pretty crackers.
Yeah, we know that. That's why I can't sugarcoat it too much. But I think the thing is we all can sit here and talk about it like over and over again. But I think the sad reality is that this is stuff that is going on around us, and some people aren't in the lucky position to be able to talk about it like we are now. So all I would say is that moving forward, if anyone, and I know it sounds really stupid, but even if you just reach out to your mum or family members or someone close, just just do it, because no one's, I feel like we're now in a time and place in the world where you're not going to get judged for it. Like, I would have confidence now messaging one of you guys going, look, I've had a pretty shitty day. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sitting here and expecting you to listen to my life problems, but I know that you'd be like, sort your fucking self out. Let's have a few games, and we'll, do you know what I mean? And it is that kind of being there for somebody. So all I would say is, if you are feeling down or low, don't feel stupid about it. No matter, I think this is the issue as well. No matter how big or small the problem is, it doesn't matter if you've had a bad day at work or the worst thing in the world's just happened to you. Like, it's all relatable. We all see things differently. We're all going to take emotions differently. Everybody's body's differently. Everyone's mind's different. So it doesn't matter how big or small the issue is. Don't feel silly about it. Don't feel that you're not masculine because you're talking about it, because I think that is the main thing that we do. Kind of just be kind to each other, really. That's the way I see it anyway.
Bottling it up never ends well.
No.
Sitting there thinking I can deal with it on my own is not the right approach to take. A problem shared is a problem halved. And it's as simple as that. Share your problem with somebody that you trust, and I guarantee you'll feel better by sharing it. And on that note you were saying before, about reaching out. If anybody is watching this and they can genuinely relate to what we're saying, and they haven't reached out, or they struggle to find somebody to talk to, you can reach out to us. 100%. Completely anonymous. And I genuinely, I'm sure, Joey, you mean that as well. If somebody is struggling, reach out to us and we'll help you find the help.
I know I do chat a lot of shit, and that is pretty much what I do most of, but I'm a nice guy. But generally, what Prezi was saying, if you do ever need anything, or just talk to somebody, whether it's me, Prezi, Kai, or
sometimes talking to somebody that you don't know
is the easiest thing.
The easiest way.
Yeah.
You feel like you can share more, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like even from obviously us streaming, that's how we met each other and stuff. I feel like I talk to you now to a point where it's near enough every day. So I feel like if I did have a problem and I did need someone to speak to, I could come to you, no problem. Like, that would be absolutely fine, and I know you would be there. And I think that's sometimes all you need, even if it's not a family member, a friend. I was at the train station today on the way home, and I seen first time I'd seen it. It's a Samaritans poster right as you come in the train station. I'd never seen it before, and it was like, if you just for a chat, and it's the Samaritans and the logo and the number. And I think that even small things like that, someone coming home could have had the worst day at work, and they see that like, if they phone them, have a chat with them as well.
Yeah.
Some people don't feel comfortable phoning places like
that.
They
do work. I've been on the phone to the Samaritans, and they sit there. Doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, they will sit there and talk to you. They will literally.
There's many services out there. There's many services out there that aren't advertised. I know Samaritans are one that are pretty well known, but there are also text messaging services. If you're sat there and you're not able to pick up the phone, but you're not feeling great, and you're not able to pick up the phone because you haven't spoken to a family member that's in the same room, and you don't feel like now's the right time to talk to them, there are text message services where you can quite literally text professionals and they will text you back, have conversations with you over text messages. There is lots of services out there that are not well known, that are undiscovered. Unfortunately, you just have to dig a little bit for them.
That's one of the issues, isn't it? Like, they're not as known as they should be. They're not as easy to find as probably what they should be, or as advertised as they should be.
What we'll do then is we'll do some digging, and we'll find every number, tech service, and charity we can, and we'll put them in the description below. So anyone that is going through anything, feel free to use those numbers. Also, we'll link Kai's link to his Twitch for his charity tournament, which is going ahead on Friday, and also for the charity that he is going to be raising money for as well. Before we go, is there anything that you guys want to wrap up and say before we leave it here?
You've forgotten to ask him an important non-related question, Joey.
Okay. Do you want to do that one? Do you want to take the honours for me? We're going to get him on the spot here as well. I think it's a good way to lift the spirits again.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah,
it's going to lift the spirits again. I think we need it. Come on, you can go for this one.
Yeah. So, if I was to ask you to sing any karaoke song right now, what would it be?
This one, right? Easy. Crackling Rosie by Neil Diamond.
Go on then.
Absolute. I'm a Neil Diamond whiz kid on the karaoke machine.
Go on then. Let's hear it.
I don't want to take over the podcast. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to start getting people over to my Twitch asking me to do Neil Diamond. Do you know what I mean? But if we ever do go out and get a drink within a karaoke bar, Neil Diamond will be on and I'll be
Right.
singing.
So what I'm saying is, within the next year, I'm coming up to Glasgow, and we're hitting a karaoke bar. Does that sound alright?
There's a few in Glasgow, to be fair, so I can't say I'm allowed in them anymore with my singing.
That's probably your fucking singing, mate.
But we can definitely go. It will be a good night.
It's been an absolute pleasure, boys, and I really, really appreciate it. Anything you want to say before we go, Kai?
I just want to say thanks for having me on. It's much appreciated. As I say, it's a good topic for us to get on and speak about, and obviously promoting the streaming. That I just want to give you a big thanks. You're doing a good job with what you're doing as well.
Aww.
Appreciate that, mate.
You just said nice words about us, Prezi.
That's probably the nicest thing he's ever said about us as well, which is
Right.
really
I know. I feel
Right,
so
right.
good right now. I feel so good.
Right,
I'll pick up on that and I'll say something nice for once to Kai. After the many times I've scared him on stream and given him shit song requests. But what I will say is, I think on behalf of anybody that is watching this that has struggled or knows somebody that struggled, thank you for doing what you're doing, especially from somebody that you've admitted yourself
100%.
has been lucky enough not to have those struggles yourself.
It takes a big person to do what you're doing, mate.
Yeah, it means a lot to anybody that has
suffered.
experienced it and has experienced the potentially lack of resource or just any difficulties in relation to mental health. Anybody that's experienced it will completely appreciate what you're doing on Friday.
100%.
Appreciate that.